Hello and welcome. I am your host of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Author Karen E. Osborne. I have 5 novels out. The latest is Justice for Emerson. I am so glad that you're here. This is a space for readers and writers to come together and talk about books. So I am so happy to invite back a fan favorite, the amazing and wonderful novelist, Cam Torrens. Hey, Cam.
Hi, Karen. Thanks for having me on again. I love talking to you.
And I love having you. It is always so cool. And I love reading your books. And you've got this new one. Today is publication day, December 18th. So that's, well, first of all, congratulations, publication day.
Thank
Woohoo!
you. I'm very excited about this one.
Havoc is really all of your books. Tyler is such a great character, and all your books are so engrossing, but this one is really good too. This one is really special. It's called Havoc, and Cam's going to tell us all about his very addictive series, especially for those of you who haven't met him before. And those of you who have met him before, I know you're going to be interested in this latest book and then what's coming next, because he always has something coming next. So tell us, let's start out with the series. Well, you know what? People who don't know you, tell us a little bit about your background, your military background, your search and rescue background, just for the folks who haven't met you before.
Yeah. So I grew up in a small town, wanted to see the world. I went to the Air Force Academy and got interested in flying. Went into the Air Force flying and thought, well, I'll do this for a couple years and then go be a commercial pilot or something. And I could not think of anything I enjoyed more after I got going in the Air Force than the Air Force. So I ended up staying over 30 years, loving every minute of it. And I did get a chance to see the world. When I retired, I ended up back in Colorado, same state as the Air Force Academy. And we had had a spreadsheet of places that we thought we might want to live around the Western United States. And the family and I were in an RV and we finally settled on Buena Vista, Colorado, which has 14,000 foot peaks within a 30-minute drive. And I live at the base of one, Mount Columbia, right where I'm at right now. I've always been an outdoor person. And so I joined search and rescue as soon as I got here. And a couple years after that, after being a lifelong reader, I decided to give writing a shot. And that's kind of my how I got here in a nutshell.
Yeah, that is a nutshell. And so Tyler has a lot of things in common with you, doesn't he?
He
But he
does.
isn't
He
you.
does.
But
They
he isn't
say
you.
write what you know. And so I didn't want it to be nonfiction, So Tyler's younger, better looking. I've said this before. He's got more hair and probably more search and rescue skills. But I didn't really think I wanted to write military thrillers, and so I was excited about having gotten into a new area, search and rescue, that I could thread through the book. And my main character, Tyler, is a veteran. He's a retired Air Force as well.
Yeah, yeah. And he's such a cool guy. So tell us the premise of the series. This is book 5?
This is book five. It
Yes,
is.
book 5 in the series. And so just give us a sense first of the series, but then what is Havoc about?
Okay. So the Tyler Zahn series, it's a series, but it's a series kind of like the Jack Reacher books are a series. You can pick up book 15 in Jack Reacher and figure out, oh, here's a guy who wanders around the United States with a comb in his pocket and no clothes,
And a
no
toothbrush.
suitcase.
And a toothbrush.
And and so the Tyler Zahn books are the same. There's a couple threads that go through, but there's enough dribbles of backstory in there that you never feel like you've missed out on anything if you start in the middle of the series. And basically, when Tyler came out of the Air Force, he didn't have as great experience in the Air Force as I did. He's carrying a little baggage and he's got a lack of confidence. And through a series of adventures in Colorado, he starts to get that confidence back. I thread the search and rescue theme through the books, but of course, in real life, we don't have a lot of bad guys. And in the Tyler Zahn books, there's always some bad guys. So Tyler seems to stumble into trouble uh, wherever he's at in the mountains, and he usually fumbles his way to success by the end of the book with his friends that he's made out here. Now, this latest book, Havoc, I said I wasn't that interested in writing a military thriller, but this was the funnest book of the series that I wrote. And it's a dual timeline, and you're familiar with a military dual timeline, having written Justice for Emerson.
Mhm.
Well, I do a similar type thing, but I take them back to 2016, northern Iraq, when ISIL is just getting beaten back by the Iraqi forces, and the U.S. is providing some aid and support to the Iraqi army. The bulk of our forces in real life have been out of Iraq, mostly out of Iraq, but we still have people doing things. And so I did a lot of research on this, and I found the writing of the military action to be very exciting. I have done a lot of low-level flying over Iraq, so I was able to describe that, but I haven't done it in a helicopter. And it's not a spoiler if I tell you that in the first chapter of this Tyler Zahn book, a Black Hawk helicopter goes down in the mountains uh, about 15 miles from where my house is right here, and search and rescue is called. So it was just a blast to write. And thanks for being an early reader.
Was really a great, great book. Yeah, I know I love thrillers and I love suspense books. That's what I read. I just got finished reading the new Strike book and I'm about to pick up and I'm starting the new Lincoln Lawyer book. And, I just like those kinds of books. And you scratch every itch. Your books, they're
Thank
fast
you.
paced. They're exciting. But the thing also that I think you do so well that sometimes thriller writers don't is your characters are so well rounded and they're really interesting people and they're whole balanced people. And so I like that a lot about your writing. Because and I like so Tyler has been going through these five books, how has he changed? How has he evolved from the first book to this book? Is he growing up? I mean, is he getting, tell us a little bit about his character arc.
Well, thanks. That's a great question because unlike the Jack Reacher books, where Jack Reacher is kind of the same for every single book, that baggage that I mentioned, Tyler bringing from the military, he's had to unpack all that, and the friends that he's made out here in the mountains, his coworkers on search and rescue, the deputy sheriff, have all helped him regain that confidence. But as we cycle through the series, almost to his detriment at sometimes, he gets confident enough to where he's gone out and done some things on his own, and ended up getting his hand slapped a little bit for trying too hard to find justice, and doing too much on his own. So he's cycled up and down. In Havoc, um, he's feeling pretty confident. He just got off an incident the year before where he was dealing with a forest fire, and trying to get some people out of an awkward situation, and he's sitting good with everyone. But in Havoc, he's torn because he's got this thing happening in the mountains, and it's his duty as search and rescue and as a reserve deputy sheriff to work that stuff out there. But his daughter's out hiking the Colorado Trail in the same area with his girlfriend. And so he's got conflicts everywhere trying to decide. And this was something I dealt with in the military. Um,
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to figure out, what comes first, duty or family. And I think, everybody would say, well, of course your family comes first, but it's not that simple in real life. when you're ordered to go off and do something and need to leave your family back behind. That happened to me more than once, and it's a tough thing to deal with. And Tyler's dealing with a bit of that in Havoc.
Yeah, yeah. So you had to, one time you had to choose between family and duty
Um,
personally?
well, I can tell you, I've written a short story. This was the one that actually went on stage in Richmond last year as a one-act play, but um, I ran into a conflict of family and duty on 9/11. I was in command of 4 airplanes and 100 personnel down in Morocco, and it was an awkward place for U.S. forces to be right after 9/11 in a Muslim country. And there was a lot of debate about whether we should stay in place. And it turned out the country wanted us moving out pretty quick. And it turned out we needed our airplanes to go support all the stuff that was steaming towards the Suez Canal. And when I got back to my home base in Germany, my family needed some care as well. Um, my kids had seen the towers come down while they were at daycare, and it was a good time to be able to talk to them. And but we only had like a 6 hour turn time, and I was given some options, and I chose to not go home and see the family and get down on this next mission because it was that important to me. And I've looked back on that oftentimes because in retrospect, it was a little bit of an ego and a little bit of a self-serving decision, and I wonder if I would do it the same these days. It's a conflict that a lot of people deal with in the military.
And the rush and the excitement of being needed and when your country is in trouble and all of that and mom's there to comfort my kids, it'll be okay. But who's
Yeah.
but
So
who's comforting her?
that was the other part of the story, though, was that my wife outranked me and was a squadron commander for a different aircraft at the base I was at. So when I told her that I was the only one who could go do this mission, she knew that I was full of it, and I just wanted to get into the action.
Kids forgiven you.
They have. They don't even remember it.
I wanted to ask, I asked, so our audience recently saw Gail Olmsted. So I interviewed her because her new book is just coming out, Class Action. And I asked her about the book that you and she are writing together. So I want to see if you have the same story. And our audience wants to know if you have the same. So how's that experience going? You're writing a book, two very popular. So just for those of you that don't know, Gail Olmsted has a terrific, terrific series. She calls them legal twists, and she's got these great characters, Miranda and Lennon, and and so she's been writing those books, and then Cam has been writing his Tyler Zahn books, and now there and she's Miranda's Connecticut and Tyler's Colorado. So how's this working out?
Well, um, just like my friendship with you, I met Gail at the author fest that our publisher Black Rose Writing has every year, and it's just such an unexpected joy to meet people who enjoy doing the same thing you do, and that you've been talking to either through Zoom like we're doing or emails. And so I've just made some great friendships, and Gail was one of those friendships, and she was one who brought it up. She goes, "Wouldn't it be neat if Miranda Quinn met Tyler Zahn in a book?" And I was a little lukewarm at first. I couldn't quite picture it, but we started batting around some ideas on email, and then at this last author fest, we just sat down and banged out an outline of what that book might look like, and we pitched it to the publisher, and they gave us the go ahead, and so we're moving right along. It's I have never been in the situation where somebody else is waiting for me to finish a chapter so they can write, or where I'm in the position where I'm waiting for somebody to finish a chapter so I can write. I mean, we've got a lot of similar writing habits. but they're not exactly the same. So that's new for me.
Yeah. Co-writing is I know I know several authors who co-write. And that's a challenge. It really is. And you guys are doing alternating chapters, right? There's a
We
Tyler,
are,
and then there's, yeah.
we
Well, I
have
can't wait for that to come out. But is there something coming out before then?
there is. So
Of course.
so let's see. I think the book with Gail is coming out in September of 2027. In September of 2026, the book six of the Tyler Zahn series, called Diverted, will be coming out. And here's another one that was a blast to write. So it's another dual timeline, and this one is based on the river. So Buena Vista, I always talk about the mountains, but we're a river town. It's a
Hmm.
lot of people think we're more of a river town than we are a mountain town because we're right on the Arkansas River, and some of the country's best whitewater rafting takes place, goes right through the town. And our search and rescue team's also responsible for swiftwater rescues on that river. And so this book combines swiftwater rescue and the river culture with the 1978 music scene in Buena Vista, Colorado. So
Hmm. So
there's
that sounds fun.
little mystery and suspense with that. So
That
it also
sounds like
is
fun. I like it. I like it. Excellent. So you are the most voracious reader. That you read so many books and you read so fast. So I want to know, and I see you on BookBub all the time, recommending books like almost weekly. So what can you recommend to our audience that they might enjoy?
right. I still feel like I've got imposter syndrome when it comes to the author thing, but I'm very confident that I'm a reader first. I mean, I just always have been, and it's like my favorite thing. I write uh, relatively quickly just so I can get to reading my books and build in a little extra time to do that. And I mean, my favorite genres are the same as you, thriller and suspense, and that's why I write it because I enjoy reading them so much. But I branch out on my own a bit, and I really enjoy reading early work from our fellow authors with Black Rose Writing, and so that's gotten me to into some genres that I wouldn't necessarily pick up off the library shelves or the bookstore shelves, and I like that. So I don't normally read books with dragons and elves and orcs and things like that, but I've read a few now, and I'll tell you what, I've I've discovered that if you know how to tell a story, it really doesn't matter what genre it is.
What genre? I agree with that. I am reading books. I have been reading and reading because I'm in a writing group as well. And I'm reading genres that I would never just go and pick up. But now I'm becoming a fan
Right.
because if you're a good writer, telling a good story, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a couple Black Rose writing books. Linda Avalar, who I've never met in person, has written this book, Cassie Linden Finds Her Sweet Spot. And it's women's fiction. Look, kind of reminds me a little bit of Jodi Picoult,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
wonderful book. And I can't remember. It comes out like uh, this month, I think, maybe next month. But it's coming out real soon, and that was really a good book. I've already got a pre-order in for my mom because I knew she would like it. And then I just finished uh, James Foley had written Treasure Coast, and which was a good book.
That was a
But
good
he's got
book.
another one called Blue Ridge that'll be coming out, and that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed reading that. Um, and then yesterday I finished nonfiction by an author that I met at the last Author Fest, the one you couldn't make. His name was Jim Naring, and he's written this book about adventure travel. He had done the Camino del Santiago. He'd biked across the United States. He'd rode down the eastern seaboard, and he puts it all together It's a story about adventures, but it's called Everest and the Rest of Us. And what he's really telling you
Clever.
is that adventure doesn't have to be, climbing Mount Everest. It can be the adventures you come up with. And he goes pretty deep into, how adventure in the traditional fashion that we've seen it has been a real privilege for those folks that have money or, those folks that are men. He talks about the various people that haven't had the same opportunities, and it got me thinking. I really enjoyed the book. And it comes out um, real soon. I keep recommending books here that aren't out, but within a month, that book comes out too, Everest and the Rest of
Good
Us.
though, because this is December, even though we're taping it before, it's aired on December 18th. So maybe they're all out by the time everybody
Right,
sees this. So,
right.
and if it's not, guys, you just go look for it and it'll be really soon. So, Cam, how can people find you? So right, everybody, that you can find all of his books on Amazon, on the publisher's website, Black Rose Writing, on Goodreads, on Barnes and Noble, in the library, where you can borrow. And if by any remote chance they don't have a copy, you just ask and they will order them. And if they want to follow you, they want to be able to know where, find out more information about you, where should they go?
So the best place to find out what I'm up to and what I'm writing is my website, camtorrens.com, all one word, Cam Torrens. And you can find it there. And there's a little contact form there if you're interested in my monthly newsletter. I don't send out much more than once a month, but it's a spot where I usually recommend 4 or 5 books, and I throw up some pictures of my family and talk about things that we're doing around Buena Vista, Colorado.
It's a good
Um,
newsletter.
Thank you. And then on Facebook, I'm at Cam Torrens Writer is my author page on Facebook. So that's another good spot. And I really appreciate you putting in the plug for libraries, because they just worked out a thing to where our books our ebooks can be in the libraries. We've always been able to order our paper books, but now ebooks can be in there, but patrons have to request it before a library is going to know that's something that their patrons might be interested in. So thanks for putting that plug in.
Yeah, just go right up to your librarian. And I grew up in a library and I raised my kids in a library. Libraries are great, great places, especially for people who can't afford to buy lots of books.
Right.
It's a really great place. So thank you so much, Cam. I hope all of you are going to follow him, that you are going to read his books. And what he said earlier is really important. Like, yes, I highly recommend you start with the first book and you move your way through. But you can pick up any of the Tyler Zahn books at any point and be totally engrossed and totally just hooked. And then you're going to want to go back and find out
Hope so.
what you missed. So please do that. And when you're in touch with Cam, please tell him that you met him or you re-met him on what are you reading, what are you writing. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, Karen. Appreciate you.